The world is more connected than ever before. And the story of ITU is the story of connecting the world. In the 1830s, electricity powered a huge revolution. Soon, not only voltage, but also information transmitted over the wires. In 1839, the world's first commercial telegraph service opened in London. In 1844, Samuel Morse started a service in the United States. And soon after, the Morse code was standardized at the International Telegraphy Congress in Paris, later becoming an ITU standard. The telegraph spread like wildfire. Telegraph service began by linking Britain and France with a submarine cable, carrying over 9,000 messages in its first year. And the Reuters news agency began sending the latest news racing over the wires. As telegraph lines crossed national borders, new international agreements had to be forged. In 1865, 20 nations gathered in Paris to sign an international framework and formed the International Telegraph Union. ITU was born. The 17th of May is now observed annually as World Telecommunications and Information Society Day. Alexander Graham Bell gained the U.S. patent for the telephone.
Mr. Watson, come here.
And launched the first telephonic service 2 years later. New inventions like telephone exchanges transformed telecommunications, and within 10 years, some 100 million phone calls had been made in the 50 ITU member countries. The radio. Practical systems were developed in the 1890s by Popov in Russia, Jagdish Chandra Bose in India, and by Marconi in Britain. In December 1906, Reginald Fessenden made the world's first audio broadcast to banana boats in the Atlantic with Christmas music and readings. The first radio regulations aimed at preventing radio interference were agreed at an international radio telegraph conference that same year. The Titanic disaster in 1912 highlighted the lack of 24-hour radio communication on ships, as well as the lack of interoperable standards. The International Radio Telegraph Conference in London agreed on a common wavelength for radio distress signals. The International Radio Telegraph Conference in 1927 created a radio consultative committee, similar to the committees on the telegraph and the telephone. Soon after, the conventions on telegraphy and radio telegraphy were merged, and a new name was adopted, the International Telecommunication Union, and ITU defined the term telecommunication for the first time. New frontiers in technology reached the stars as radio waves helped observe celestial objects. Radio astronomy and other space services became part of ITU's key responsibilities. As the space race heated up, sending the first humans into space, satellite communication services began, with the first phone call from space. In 1964, the first geostationary satellite relayed live pictures of the Tokyo Olympic Games. Geostationary satellites are now the mainstay of telecommunications worldwide, and ITU allocates orbital slots and radio frequency spectrum to ensure reliable, interference-free transmission for meteorology, aeronautics, and broadcasting. Against the background of new innovations and the coming internet revolution, ITU provided a networking platform to explore new directions in information and communication technologies. In 1971, ITU Telecom World opened its doors as an industry showcase and high-level forum. Mobile devices connect billions around the globe. In 1992, ITU allocated radio spectrum dedicated to mobile communications. IMT 2000, or 3G, became the global standard. The next step, IMT Advanced, was announced in 2012. And work is underway on developing IMT 2020, setting the stage for 5G technologies.
مصر السلام، مصر الاستقرار، مصر البناء، مصر المحبة، مصر التسامح.